Kevin, do you want to discuss 2014?
I do, pal. I really do. So I was watching our buddy Superkick Studios video that he made on the 2014 and 15 Royal Rumble. Shout out to him if he's watching. And there was like I thought it was a pretty good video. Superkick makes good videos. I think the video got struck down. I think he tweeted out that the video got struck down, and the one he made about the butterfly effect too from day one, that one also got struck down.
Wow.
So Paul Levesque was up late at night striking that down. So that's unfortunate. Hopefully he can get that back up. So what I remember from that Royal Rumble in 2014, it was kind of like a foregone conclusion that Batista was gonna win. Like I was watching him, Superkick, talk about this, and he was saying like, "Oh, everybody thought that Daniel Bryan was gonna win. It was a shoo-in." And I was like, I don't remember it that way. Like I remember it pretty clearly. Like Bryan's not Bryan's not a main eventer. Like they made it as clear as day. He beat Randy Orton like 4 times throughout the fall and never won the title. And then Triple H would literally come out on TV and be like, "That guy sucks. Like, we're not gonna push him, and you can tweet about it if you're mad." So I just, it was a little bit of revisionist history, maybe, or not revisionist history, but he just remembered it the way that he remembered it. Like I'm sure he was a big Bryan guy, sounded like. So a lot of Bryan fans wanted him to win. I just remember looking at it like, how could you see it any other way? Like I remember watching it live week to week. And they would literally, the commercial for the show would be Batista making his entrance at a past Royal Rumble. And it's like, okay, Batista's back. He's coming back from Hollywood. The whole show is built around him. He's clearly going to win. And that was why everybody was so mad. Because they knew that Batista was going to win. So the people in Pittsburgh were like, I don't want to go to this show. Like, who cares? Or I'm just going to boo everything. Batista's already going to win. And then I do remember the aspect with Rey Mysterio where he got booed because he wasn't Daniel Bryan. And that was like, everybody's just mad, right? Like, everybody's just mad. But I'll say this, and then you can go. Overall, in the grand scheme of things, the legacy of this Royal Rumble is that, in its totality, you could make an argument that this is the worst and most poorly booked Royal Rumble of all time. They had the clear as day story right in front of them. Just have Daniel Bryan win. Easy. Call it a day. And that's it. And you tell the story of the Yes Movement progressing. Or you could have had him in the match, right? You could have had him in the match and he comes in second. And he barely gets beat by Batista. Like, you have him come out number 1, number 2, whatever. Have him work with everybody, pop the crowd. And then he loses. And then you could have him shake Batista's hand or whatever. Like, Batista and him hug at the end. And then everybody, I feel like everybody, like, while they would be a little disappointed, it wouldn't have been the disaster that we witnessed on TV. Where that, like, Roman Reigns got cheered so badly, or so much, I should say. Roman Reigns got cheered so much during that match that Vince was like, oh my god, this is the guy. He's a babyface, he's a big star. And then 6 months later, he's beating Randy Orton clean at SummerSlam. So, go ahead.
Well, because of the Roman stuff here, then they thought, oh, well, the next year in 2015, which had its own set of circumstances, as we know, in 2015, we'll have Roman win that one, and they'll like that, surely. And then that was a whole different debacle. I agree with what you're saying. There were a multitude of ways this could have been done better, even with Daniel Bryan not winning. I still think him not winning the 2014 Rumble was the right decision. Him not just not being in the match, period, was just like a head scratcher. That was always my position. As you say, it was pretty obvious that Batista was going to win. I remember at the time in 2014, like you do, I mean, they had commercials and all this. Batista came back. He returned like 2 weeks before the Rumble, the middle of January. So he comes back. He's in those like super skinny jeans. He's cutting a promo on like Randy Orton and like the Authority and what have you. And it was sort of like, okay, Batista's not going to, I mean, as much as it'd be cool if he came back to wrestle Brock Lesnar in like a fantasy match, he's probably going to face Randy Orton to some capacity. He's probably going to be involved in the world title match. So that felt like a foregone conclusion as well. The Daniel Bryan thing was weird because as fans, we were sort of banking on WWE to put him in the match when they never announced him to be in the match. Like, it'd be one thing if they announced him to be in the match and then they, like, on purpose, like, took him out of the match, like, last minute. He was facing Bray Wyatt. He had, like, a really good 25-minute match to open the show, pal, which, I mean, you'll tell a story about your feeling on in a moment. So he's wrestling Bray Wyatt in this like good payoff match to a 2-3 month long storyline. He's escaped the Wyatt family, Daniel Bryan. He's wrestling Bray. It was like Bray's best singles match of his career. That opens the show. And then everyone's just banking on Bryan being in the Rumble when they never announced him to be. And it's like, well, that's a dangerous game as is. They didn't announce him. Like, so right there. And then, as you say, how it got booked, question marks all around. You know, I think the ways you suggested would have just been better. I think Bryan not winning was the right decision. It made the WrestleMania 30 payoff better, didn't it? You know, I get it. You know, you need to have everything right now, but like within 2 months, literally within 2 months, there was the big moment. And some would say, yeah, but would that have happened? Or would the butterfly effect have been the same, pal, if Bryan had won it? Or would the payoff... We don't know. And what I do know is this. Batista did win. It was a mess. The reaction was not as expected, pal, as Vince McMahon wrote down the piece of paper. Vince was sitting there, pal, by the pool with Pat Patterson, pal, thinking, oh, yeah. Oh, this will be so good, Dave. Dave Batista, oh, yeah. Dave versus Randy. Oh, yeah. And we'll have Daniel Bryan versus Sheamus for the US title. Oh, yeah. Like, that's how Vince wrote it up, which, you know, that would have been pretty bad. And everyone at the time knew it, besides Vince, until Punk walked out and said, F you and your plans. This sucks. Bye. Which changed everything. But, yeah, I don't know. It wasn't as bad as we remember it. I don't think it was as bad. I mean, I at the time didn't think it was horrible. I don't think it was great, but I don't think it was as bad as people discussed it in history.
Right. Yeah, and I just to reiterate my point, I think this match, just the Royal Rumble match itself, was poorly booked. Mm-hmm. All across the board. The booking decisions were just question mark after question mark. Mm-hmm. You got CM Punk out there at number 1. And then he just gets thrown out by Kane, like right before the match ends. Kane's just like, here, pal, get out. All right, hit the showers. Puts him through like the announce table, and we're all like, okay, Glenn Jacobs, the mayor's here, beating up CM Punk for what? What purpose does that serve? It was like peak authority when people were just sick of that nonsense. People were was the authority even around actually? Now that I'm saying this.
Yeah, basically what happened is SummerSlam 2013.
Yes, right.
That's when they like started it, and that was the first few months where it was like, you know, Stephanie McMahon screaming at Big Show, oh, you know, you're gonna have no house to live in. We're gonna take your house. Big Show crying. We're gonna fire you, Cody Rhodes. We're gonna fire you, Goldust. That was like that sort of before it became Seth Rollins cutting 20-minute promos every week. It was like before. It was like the infancy stages of the authority power, like Triple H and Stephanie.
Right. So. Yeah, that was so. Yeah, it was like, I guess peak authority. I don't know. Peak authority was probably when they had Rollins, but this was just like peak of I'm sick of Kane. I'm over it. Like I was over Kane by this point. So over Kane. It was enough. I saw enough around like that whole like Cena Zack Ryder storyline.
Oh,
that was what I really had enough of Kane. But now I'm like, okay, this guy, you're just hurting your legacy, bro, by being here at this point. He beats up Punk, and then Punk walks out. Right, this is the infamous, like, this is CM Punk's last match up until he wrestled Dominic a couple weeks ago. I don't know. A lot of things didn't make sense here. Roman Reigns just going nuclear, eliminating what? How many wrestlers did he eliminate? Like 9 wrestlers? 12?
At the time, Kane had the record of 11, which this was like one of the big themes of like the second half of this match. Before the Batista stuff and the chaos of the ending with Kane and all that crap, like the whole second half of the match was, oh my, Roman Reigns is unleashed. Roman Reigns, he's got 9. Roman Reigns has 10. Roman has 11. He's got the record, John. He's got 12 eliminations. That was like the whole second half of this match. So
yeah, that also was like a head scratcher. I remember Rusev made his debut, and then he's getting eliminated by the whole all the baby faces. They're just like, oh, let's eliminate Rusev, pal.
Kevin, can I read you the names? And being 10 years on, we can look at like how this has aged. Listen to the names of who eliminated Rusev. This is a who's who of the modern era. CM Punk, so the biggest draw in wrestling, or one of them, at least when he's in his honeymoon phase, that is.
Wow.
Cody Rhodes, a guy who's like the face, the Cena of the era now, pal. He's going to be crowned at WrestleMania, and if he isn't, I'm boycotting wrestling.
You're talking about Jey Uso, you mean?
No. Seth Rollins, the Mr. WWE, modern day Mr. WrestleMania, the WWE Ultimate Company guy, and Kofi Kingston, who's iconic with the Royal Rumble and all his moments, and he's been WWE champion, and he's been a star to some extent, a star of the New Day for like 15 years. That group eliminated Rusev, and now Rusev is off in AEW whinging about creative because he's on Rampage every like 4th week. Unbelievable. Anyway, so there's that. I love how you get to like the middle of this match, and I'm getting like just reading the names. I'm getting such like memories and such. Nostalgia is one word for it. I wouldn't say that. That's more like glowing, but such memories of who's who was around at this time. How this is, Jimmy Uso when he was like an absolute. I couldn't tell them apart from Jey Uso. This is Fandango, pal. This is Kevin Nash making like a 5th surprise return in 2 years. This is Shield Dean Ambrose still, pal. This is Kofi and Jack Swagger, pal. Jake Hager, pal. All these just perennial WWE mid-carders. I'm like reading their names, and Roman just like throw them all out. El Torito, pal. How can you forget El Torito, pal? The mighty El Dorito, the one who was with Los Matadores in the tag team division in like 2013. JBL was in this match, pal. The legendary JBL. You love to say it.
Yes.
Pal, I want to discuss this. The last like 5 minutes of this match.
Hey, hold on. Before you go. I'm sorry. Before you go.
Yeah.
I want to rewind things just for a moment, pal. Before you continue talking about the Royal Rumble match. What did you think of the undercard itself? I remember the pre-show match where like the New Age Outlaws were on their comeback tour, and I was like, what? Like, what is going on here?
Similar to what I just said with the guys who eliminated Rusev, and like the names, when you read it back now, you go, oh my god, those guys were involved in that. I read this card and go, he was involved in this. This guy was doing, oh my god. My general overall thoughts was like, it was probably the most bipolar, strange undercard of any show I can ever remember.
Yes.
This was so weird. Obviously you got your kickoff pre-show match, which is Cody Rhodes, pal, the current face of the era, with Goldust. So like the brothers Rhodes against the New Age Outlaws on their comeback tour, as you said. That was just the tag team title match. That on the kickoff show. That just happened. Okay. And then the show opens with this 25-minute Bray Wyatt, Daniel Bryan classic. The best match of Bray's career. The payoff to this like 3-month storyline, because what they tried to do was try and deflect Daniel Bryan away from the main event picture by having him face Bray Wyatt. Then the fans were going nuts everywhere, doing yes chants. The building was popping off for Daniel Bryan. But they couldn't just bounce him down to the mid-card. The crowd was going off too much. So there was that power.
Let's talk about that match. Let's zero in on that match for a moment.
Yes. Let's lock in.
So it was 21 and a half minutes. And this was what? 18 months into Bray Wyatt's career, more or less, give or take. He debuted in 2012 at SummerSlam. Or was it 2013?
Year after, actually. No, this is only like 8 months into his career.
Okay, so he had debuted. Oh, so he debuted like 4 months prior to this, essentially. And this was the best match of his career.
Like May, June 2013. That's when the Wyatt family vignette started, and then they kidnapped Kane, pal, and all that stuff.
Yeah, so 8 months in, and this was the best match of his entire career. Yeah, God rest his soul, but this was like bell to bell. This was it right here. This was peak Daniel Bryan. Like just opening the show at the Royal Rumble. Could you imagine? Just think about this for a moment, right? Picture what the Royal Rumble in, let's say 1998 looks like, right? If in the Royal Rumble in 1998, we still get Austin versus Shawn Michaels, right? Still get that the main event WrestleMania at that year. The Royal Rumble in 98, you get Stone Cold versus whoever. Stone Cold versus Psycho Sid to open the show. And the whole crowd is like Stone Cold's the biggest star of the era. The whole crowd's like, oh my god, Stone Cold's opening the show. Wow, this is awesome. And he's going to be in the Royal Rumble. Oh my god. And then the Royal Rumble plays out. And Stone Cold's just not there. And they give the winner, whoever you want to put in there. They have Big John Studd come back, or Bam Bam Bigelow. Bam Bam Bigelow makes his return. Oh my god, Bam Bam Bigelow main evented WrestleMania 3 years ago against LT. And Bam Bam Bigelow here wins the Royal Rumble. He's throwing out Triple H. He's throwing out Owen Hart. He's throwing out The Rock. He's throwing out a who's who of Attitude Era, like upper mid-carders, main eventers, legends.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, oh, here, Bam Bam Bigelow versus Shawn Michaels. That's your WrestleMania 14 match. Just think, I know you said earlier when we were talking about the Royal Rumble match, like not everything has to happen right now with
Yeah.
the Daniel Bryan thing, but just think about if that's how they
I know.
played out the Royal Rumble in 1998.
Can you imagine The Rock gets like he breaks the all-time eliminations record all the time. The Rock has 8 eliminations. Jim Ross is going crazy. The all-time record. Oh my God, The Rock's got 8 eliminations, and Bam Bam Bigelow comes in, just throws them all out and wins.
Yeah, like this is the hottest star in the company, literally by far. It's not even close at this point. He's way hotter than the champion Randy Orton. He's hotter than Cena. He was hotter than Punk even. Punk was kind of cooling down from his hottest. This was Daniel Bryan's time. He's the guy. It just, I guess it shows you the difference in philosophy when you know that you're the only game in town.
Mm.
And it's like, oh, we can do whatever we want. Who's our competition? TNA in front of 20 people in Canada? They didn't have any real competition. Even with AEW, right? Oh, that pisshead company. Ugh. Who cares what they do?
Pal, but Pal, TNA Impact doing shows in front of 150 people at a baseball stadium, pal. But
pal, they have good championships, good championship designs, pal.
That being said, it's casually just like I'll use the I guess the wrestling gifts, the Superkick Studios lingo. A casual certified hood banger, pal, to open the show, pal. Certified classic, just a cinematic match to open the show, pal. It's just great blistering stuff. And then I want to discuss this, pal. Cena Orton happened here as well, which is like, pal, this is the 2 stars of the era, pal. This is Randy Orton. This is John Cena. These are 2 first ballot Hall of Famers. One's a Mount Rushmore guy all time who some consider the GOAT. I guess post Benoit, he has to be the GOAT because everyone before then you can't talk about. And then you've got Randy Orton, who legitimately at this time was not trying. He was just given the belt, pal. And it's like, okay, great. Why should we care? Daniel Bryan literally pinned you clean 4 straight pay-per-views, and you still have the title. Why should we care? And they did the unification match for no reason. A tables, ladders, chairs, 2013, pal. Pal, nothing screams big gold belt, WWE Championship, the lineage collides, a merging of the titles. Nothing screams a big stage for that like tables, ladders, chairs, 2013, pal. That is the show, pal. F WrestleMania, F SummerSlam, F Survivor Series, the Royal Rumble, hell, Money in the Bank, or even Night of Champions, because that would have made more sense because of the name. Tables, Ladders, and Chairs 2013. The same show where CM Punk had to go to Johnny Ace and say, put me in the first match, put AJ in the second match, so we can get to a wedding on the other side of the country and not have to be stuffed around, okay? That same Tables, Ladders, Chairs 2013. Incredible. Nonetheless, pal, Cena Orton just happens. The crowd's chanting Randy Savage. They're chanting JBL. We want beach balls. They're chanting go away. They're chanting refunds. We want refunds. Daniel Bryan. Boo.
This match sucks.
Yep. John Cena sucks. Randy Orton sucks. They're just singing both of them. Talk to us. Like your honest opinion, pal. You're sat there. It's 2014. How did this make you feel? This is the World Championship match.
Yeah, this is another one where the booking just made little to no sense. I'm just going to touch on Brock Lesnar versus Big Show just for a moment. I don't want to spend 10 minutes on that. I want to say this real quick. I remember like watching that and the hype and the build up for that match. WWE's like trying to build this into like legend versus legend, icon versus icon. Oh my god. It's the giant Big Show. Like this is Big Show that's been crying for like 12 and a half months, getting slapped around by Stephanie. And we're supposed to believe that he's a threat for Brock Lesnar. This is one of the reasons why I push back against your ranking of Big Show in our top 50 all time. Like, the guy just became a joke at the end of his career. Within WWE, at least. I digress on that. I just remember the bell rings and, like, Brock Lesnar punches the chair out of Big Show's hand and then beats him up relentlessly with the chair and F5s him. And I was like, what is the point of having this? Like, what's the point of having this match? The booking, so far, I'm confused by the booking every which way involved. Then you get to Randy Orton and Cena. I just remember laughing so much watching this match. Like, this is when it kind of became a thing for the crowd to hijack like matches. Like, it was already happening, but after this, it started happening frequently on a regular basis after this match. It was just like anything that WWE did the fans didn't like. They were hijacking, they were booing, they were throwing beach balls, they were screaming Macho Man, CM Punk, whoever. Yeah. I feel like it kind of really ramped up here. This might have been the peak of that, honestly. This match was crazy. It's Cena and Orton, two of the all-time greats. Like just imagine let's look at the NBA, right? Imagine the NBA hypes up this like Christmas Day matchup. Oh my god. It's LeBron versus Curry. And then the crowd's just like booing the whole time. And it's like, oh, we hate this. This sucks. This is terrible. Get this off the screen. We don't want to see LeBron with the ball. We want to see Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves deserves more touches. Just like this is the wrestling fan logic sometimes. Like it doesn't transfer into real sports.
No, it's basically that. So it's LeBron Curry on Christmas for like the 10th straight year. And then what happens is it becomes like the Lakers and the Raptors from the other day, where like every 3 seconds the ref's blowing the whistle. And then like the big Christmas Day LeBron Curry matchup with the big stars turns into the crowd just booing everything. You know, that is BS. F you refs. F you refs. F you refs. This game sucks. This game sucks. You know, we want refunds. Like all this sort of stuff, you know, and this was Cena Orton, like the 100th time. How they already had their like legendary 2007 feud, pal. Had their 2009 one with like 15 pay-per-view matches where Cena was getting hit with a kendo stick, roaring as he's like flexing, pal. On the they'd already had like a million matches. This is like the 5th version of their feud. Unbelievable. So this goes 20 minutes, pal. Randy Orton just he wins through shenanigans. He just beats Cena again, and it was like, okay. Great. And, you know, this has already been a show. Like, you're an hour and a half in. You've already witnessed this Bray Wyatt and Daniel Bryan certified banger pal randomly to open the show. You've witnessed Brock Lesnar mercilessly beat the piss out of the Big Show with a steel chair for, like, no reason. Like, I remember watching that match. I remember watching the live show for this. Just watching Brock Lesnar, this, like, jacked, primal athlete, like an alpha male in his absolute prime, his absolute apex, pal, beating the ever-living F out of Paul White. Just like 5 minutes of the most brutal, violent chair beatdown. Imagine taking 5 minutes of chair shots from Brock effing Lesnar. Imagine how that would feel. And then you feel the need to discredit Paul White in the all-time rankings. He took a shoot beatdown from Brock Lesnar for these fans, for this business. Could you have done that, pal?
Enough, pal. Enough, pal. So Kofi Kingston to be top 30 since he took a beat down from Brock, but I digress. Let's close this portion of the podcast off here with a question.
Wow.
What is the legacy? If the Royal Rumble 2014 even has a legacy in your mind, if so, what is that legacy?
The first real major fan meltdown in the reality era, i.e. the fans hijack the show era. That's what the reality era was. That was what I remember this show. I remember this is like the time where the show ended, Kevin. The pay-per-view went off the air, and online was just an all-out meltdown. Like, yes, there was WrestleMania 29 and Cena won. That was an absolute meltdown. But this was like an IWC, like a fan favorite guy getting done over, getting screwed, pal. And everyone just went off. Like, I remember going on, I think at the time it was YouTube. I was following, I think I wasn't on like forums or anything. I'd watch like Bustin' Smarks and that, but it was a war zone. Like, you know, it was an absolute, it was a car wreck. And obviously during the show, as you're pointing out, once Rey Mysterio was getting booed, like the beloved Rey Mysterio, one of the most beloved wrestlers of all time, someone who no one ever says a bad word about, pal. He's beloved. You've got 16,000 fans booing him, saying, we don't want you, we don't want you, we want someone else, get off our screen, we want Brian. My legacy, my memory of this show, pal, will be the first true like meltdown over an IWC fan favorite not getting the booking treatment they feel they deserve on screen. That was my opinion.
I agree with you. I absolutely agree. I think in the end, this show will also be looked back at for how badly Batista's return went. Just how absolutely botched his WWE comeback was. And he knew it too, and he did interviews, and he was like, yeah, like, I don't know why they wanted me to be this white meat babyface, like, I'm Batista, I'm a badass. I don't fit in the PG era, so, like, he kind of knew what the deal was. And then it kind of sucked that he ended up having a job with Daniel Bryan, because WWE was so incompetent Like the match right there is staring you in the face: Batista versus Brock Lesnar, and you want to shoehorn in Batista versus Randy Orton because Randy Orton's like a big star because he went viral 9 years ago doing memes. Like, whatever. I digress, pal. Any last words before we go around the world?
Yeah, like, and Kevin, as you're saying this, it's like it's clear as day to me, like how this should have been done. Like as you're saying that, as we're discussing this, you have Daniel Bryan, as you say, come in like at the start. He goes, "Yep, I'm entering. I'm going to enter the Rumble," and he has to literally run an absolute gauntlet. Like Triple H enters the Rumble at like 25 because Bryan's still there. Like the whole story becomes, we're doing everything we can to get him out of the ring. We don't want him main eventing our WrestleMania.
That would be great. Yeah.
You know, can you imagine like they say it's almost like waves of reinforcements. Like you have Brian starts out, he's wrestling Kofi's in the mid, it's whatever. The Authority like, yeah, cool, he won't make it. And then you get to like 15 and think, oh god, who are we gonna send? We're gonna send the Shield in there. Like Roman, get out there, Seth, get out there, Ambrose, get out there. Then they go, oh, he's still there. Bray Wyatt, get out there, throw him out. Rusev, get out there, throw him out. And then eventually they get to like 25. They're showing the Authority backstage, showing Triple H. He's like, oh my god. And then Triple H just like rips his blazer off and goes, I'm getting out there myself. So Triple H's music hits like 28. He comes out. Brian's still in there, going. Triple H is just like, he's just desperate to throw him out. He can't do it. Eventually, Stephanie's like freaking out. They get Batista at number 30. Like, Dave, get out there. That's the first time we see Batista in like 8 years. Batista's brought back as the hired gun to take out Bryan. And eventually, Batista gets the job done after Bryan lasts an hour. So the fans are like, at least it's like a good storyline. Fans are gripped the whole match. Batista wins. He's like hated for it. And it works. Wouldn't that be good, pal? I'm sure that would get a better reaction than Rey Mysterio getting literal death threats online. Like,
just about anything. Yeah, just about anything would have been better, pal.